everyone. I am super stoked here to introduce Jasmine from Beauty and the Network. You're going to love this episode because Jasmine is also a bridal beauty business coach. So, this is her passion. She loves systems, which you all know I love. Anything to streamline the process, make life easier, get organized. I'm all for it. So, welcome and thank you for being here today.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. I love running my mouth, all things about the business side of bridal. So I'm super excited for our chat today.
Do you want to start off by telling the listeners a little bit about you, how you got your journey into makeup, life before makeup?
Yeah, so I'll try to keep it short. So I originally went to cosmetology school straight after I graduated from high school. So by the time that I graduated from cosmetology school, I was 18. And I originally just wanted to have like my own cut color studio where I did highlights and all of the things. I actually had a full clientele when I was in cosmetology school. But 3 months before I graduated, I was actually approached by one of the girls who does the front desk at my school. And she said, "Hey, there's an event looking for some assistance." And it was actually Charleston Fashion Week. So that is when I actually fell in love with bridal. And at that time, I had already been touring salons so that I could have my own studio suite. I had already had like capes, hooded dryers, a full line of color. And I ended up having a yard sale at my grandmother's house and I sold everything and I went with my gut instinct to really give bridal a try, even though I had no idea about, bridal and what that life was all about. So I was searching for jobs until I figured out what I wanted to do with the bridal world. So I could learn how to do updos, learn how to do makeup. And I was like, why not just figure out my journey while I am, applying for some salon job. So long story short, I had an amazing resume, not to toot my own horn, but I've had an amazing resume and I got a lot of people who are interested in me working at their salon. But what ended up happening is that I would have a job over the phone, but then when I went in for the actual salon tour, my skin color actually disqualified me. So
Oh,
I'm like, my confidence was broken. And what I ended up doing was I got a job at Sally's Beauty for about like a year until I realized, you know what, I am not going to let other people validate me. I am going to go out and create my own opportunity for myself. And that's when I created my business and I got my first business license at age 19. So at that time, I was just learning from everybody. I was taking one-on-one classes. I really wanted to service everybody. I was practicing like at any time that I can. And I had a lot of struggle in the beginning. I went through a lot of limiting beliefs, a lot of confidence struggles, really understanding who I wanted to be and how I wanted to show up for my business. And then fast forward into me actually investing in myself, learning about marketing, learning about social media. My business started to really take off. And I noticed that I was having a lot of, large parties request me. And I started to, look for freelancers here and there while I also worked for other bridal beauty companies. So I ended up basically going out on my own because my business grew so much after I started to really invest in myself. And now I have a team of 17 amazing freelance hair and makeup artists. So Makeup Inc. And we service 4 states. 3.5 years ago, my fiance and I moved to my hometown, like 3 hours across state, so I can expand in the 4 additional states. And we're still rocking it out. And now I'm teaching other bridal hair and makeup artists how to have a solo or a team-based business model that works for how they want to show up in their own life.
okay. I feel like you skimmed over so much so casually, like it was nothing. And I'm just like, hold on, backtrack. So 18, you were in cosmetology school and you
Yes,
said you had a full clientele.
I did. I did.
Like,
When I was in
how?
So whenever the cosmetology school, so I am very career focused. Like when I was probably like 10th grade, I knew I already wanted to go to cosmetology school. I knew that I wanted to have a studio. So when I was in cosmetology school,
How did you know that? Like, how are you
I
set on that?
I don't know, like I am wired different. Like I had so many side hustles. I sold jewelry. I had my own gift basket biscuit. So I've always looked like some kind of entrepreneur in some
Yeah.
kind of way. So when I went to cosmetology school, I went on Vistaprint And I got like my own little cards and it had like the school information on it for them to book me. I
So
was
smart.
leaving it at coffee shops, boutiques, a hair store, and people would buy my card and they would actually, say, "Hey, I want to request Jasmine." And this was like way before social media was popular. I had an Instagram, but my Instagram was literally trash. It had nothing to do with my work.
And if you
But
scroll through to their Instagrams, you'll see the
yeah.
beginning
Oh
days.
my gosh. Oh my gosh. So people were requesting me, and I think I had about 36 people who ended up requesting me from just me leaving my card. When I was in cosmetology school, I serviced about 75 people, and 65 people that I had worked with, they came back. So they became like my regular client, but I was in
That is
cosmetology school.
amazing.
Yeah, so I was able to pay like all of my bills with just chips from
And, like, don't
cosmetology school.
underestimate leaving business cards around even today. Like, this is something that worked so
Oh,
long
yeah.
ago, but I remember when I first moved to Ottawa and I was starting up my lash business, I was leaving business cards in, like, Tim Hortons, the gym, anywhere my client might be hanging out, and I got clients, like, that found it in the gym change room, and they brought it in. I'm like, "Yeah, okay, this is how I found you. This is
Oh,
amazing."
yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember going to gyms and saying, like, "Can I just leave these at the front desk? Can I leave these in the bathroom?" I would leave them every single place,
Sometimes they
hotels,
say no, but, like, you
everywhere.
just throw them there anyways. It's
Yeah.
fine. Someone will
Right?
clean
It's
them up.
like
It'll be there for an hour.
right?
So
It's like,
at least one
"It's
person will
okay."
pick it up.
Right? Right?
Then the
Oh,
other thing
yeah.
you said was that you could finish graduate cosmetology school at age 18, and
Mhm.
then you kinda just dipped your foot into bridal, but you got rid of all of your cosmetology supply stuff because you knew you wanted to do bridal, but you also said that you did not know how to do proper hair and bridal hair and makeup yet.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I am a very I'm a very extreme person. I'm like, I'm gonna go all in and I'm just gonna figure it out later. So I had already bought like so many things off of like Cosmo Props, Salon Centric. I had like two hooded dryers and like so many things. Most of my cosmetology teachers ended up coming to that yard sale that I had to like buy up my stuff. And I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna find classes to take to learn how to do, bridal hairstyle. I'm gonna learn how to work with all textures. I'm gonna learn how to properly match, skin tone for foundations so that I can actually do this thing the right way. So I was taking that time and I was trying to apply for, some of those law positions that I didn't get. I was just like taking all of my income that I had got from Sally Beauty and turning that back into just like paying for classes,
Mhm.
paying for makeup, building up my kit as much as I could. And I just kind of went from there and I just practiced on anybody's face that I could. I was actually promoting complimentary hair and makeup sessions on Craigslist. And I got people from there. And I was just kind of like practicing so I can like take photos of my work and I can kind of like store it and post it on social media.
This is I'm guessing, like, this is around the early 2000s? When
Yes,
was
this
this?
was 2013, 2014.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Craigslist days, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, I did the same. Kijiji, Craigslist, whoever, like anything that we can do to get photos, volunteering at fashion shows, volunteering at like schools even for like prom and things like that. Just anywhere where we can get makeup onto someone's face and take a picture. And
Oh, yeah.
at the time, like I remember coming home to my dad's like, "How much money do you make today?" And I'm like, "Nothing, Dad. It's just volunteer. It's marketing." Yeah.
It's like you
It just
have to put a little bit of legwork into it just to kind of like practice and get comfortable. And then once you get comfortable, then you can start charging like, "Hey, I'm doing, a discount session where I'm doing your makeup, but I'm testing out some new products for my kit." So absolutely.
And then all those prom girls and all those people that you did for free, those turn into brides, they turn into bridesmaids, they turn into referrals. So it really makes a huge difference. And even today, like if I have slow time, I will pull a model or somebody that I know has a lot of friends from Facebook or on Instagram. And I'm like, can I borrow your face? Like, let's do a video. And it's a
Oh, yeah.
great way to collaborate even today. Obviously, I'm not
Absolutely.
doing it constantly because girls got to get paid. But
Right?
yeah.
Absolutely.
So when do you feel like your career really started to take off? Like after you started doing the trainings and as you were working on people, was there an ideal moment that you remember, or is there something you did, or when do you feel it started to transition and start to feel successful?
So it was definitely after I had started freelancing for other people's businesses who also do bridal hair and makeup. And I think it was just me gaining my confidence. I was gaining my confidence and I had already started really investing my time and my energy into, different social media courses, like how do I actually utilize Instagram for my business? How do I use Pinterest? How do I, use SEO so I can get ranked on Google? And I had just been spending so much time trying to build up my business, but I realized that I was still kind of like working on my confidence and I wasn't necessarily like promoting as much as I was investing in myself. So once I started to actually really get consistent and practice, showing up at Facebook groups, showing up at networking events, showing up on Instagram and posting to my website, I saw like a little trickle of clients. They would come in and they would book me. And I noticed that the companies that I was freelancing for, I'd have to start turning away so many direct bookings because I was already booked for somebody else's business.
Yeah.
And that's when I started to get, a good frequency of larger bridal parties. And I'm like, okay, you have 16 girls and it's just me. Like, we're not going to start at 1 a.m. in the morning time because that's just a little bit crazy on me. And I don't want to drain myself. So I had really just contemplated, like, okay, should I start looking for assistance? At that time, I had just like started messaging girls on social media. My cosmetology school, they had like a little job board where we can kind of post like, hey, so both hiring or I need help with X, Y, and Z. So I was utilizing that and some of the girls who are on my team today, that's how I originally found them like
Aw.
back before I even had like an official team. So me just being consistent and really having confidence in showing up consistently, that is definitely when I started to see my business take off.
And then how did you show up in Facebook groups and like what did you do at these networking events?
So I'm an introverted extrovert, to be honest. So with these networking events, I would definitely just kind of like go into the room. I'm the person who like, I like to like look and observe to see like who I want to go and talk to. So I can kind of like make my way over there. But I really just wanted to network with photography planners, venues specifically. So I looked for specific networking events that weren't just like boss babes or, things like that. I wanted specific industries in so that it would make sense for the direction that I want my business to go in. And I would just hand people cards. They would say, hey, do you want to collaborate? We're doing a styled shoot. And I was constantly just saying yes to everyone. Now, in the beginning, it's totally different from when your business starts to grow. Then you can start getting like a little bit more particular and not always saying yes to everyone. But I just started saying yes to everyone. And those people that I met back in the day, they still refer clients to me today for my team. And it's just been amazing because those relationships, you want to nurture them. You don't just want to give your card out and then never talk to them. You want to comment on their posts on Instagram and Facebook. But then how I was showing up in Facebook groups. So at first, I started showing up in like the mom group. And then I realized, okay, mom groups aren't really getting me the results that I want.
For a
So
bridal
then,
business?
right? So then I was like, are there like bridal groups in here? So I just started typing. I was from Charleston, so I would type in like Charleston wedding industry or Charleston wedding. And I saw all of the different Facebook groups that would pop up. And I just sent a request to every single one of them. And of course, nowadays you have to read the rules. Sometimes they're like, oh, you can only promote on Wednesdays, or you can only
Yeah.
promote yourself on Fridays, or there's no self promotion at all. So I would just kind of like make a note in my calendar, like, hey, on Tuesday, I can promote in this group. Go ahead and post something there, showcase some of your work, talk a little bit about what you do. And I started getting a good amount of people that would reach out from Facebook and they want to book me.
And the good thing about those groups is like even if they don't allow self promotion or like giving yourself as a referral, it kind of makes you get creative because if Brian's
Oh
asking
yeah.
a question, like other vendors, other people. If you're answering enough questions and you're being helpful enough, people are going to start to wonder like who you are, right? Like you
Mhm.
seem to have a lot of knowledge. You're always in here. Like, who are you? And they're going to go back to your profile and be like, oh, this makeup artist really knows what she's talking about. She seems to know a lot about the industry. Let
Oh
me look
yeah.
at her page too. So it does take a little bit of investment, but the clients that you get when you put in that type of work, it's tenfold what you get from someone just finding you online. That
Absolutely.
relationship is already there.
Oh yeah. And then when you're in there, if there's a bride who's like, hey, I'm looking for a photographer, I can recommend one of my favorite photographers. And then if that same photographer is scrolling down and someone says, hey, I'm looking for a hair and makeup artist, I refer them, they're going to refer me. So I
Mm.
always like to say, like, build up a network. Don't just have like the two, three planners and photographers that you have, like, constantly grow your network. So you have 20, 30 people referring you versus just like those two or three people. So
Yeah.
always connect, always build those deeper relationships.
So where did you move from?
So I moved from Charleston, South Carolina to Rock Hill, South Carolina. Nobody ever knows where the heck Rock Hill is because it's kind of like the Booties. So I just tell people that I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, because it's like 20 minutes away from me across the state line.
And then was that a big move for you? Did you feel like you had to start over? How did that go?
So when I moved, I had started networking with people in that area way before I started. So I actually tested a strategy because I'm a marketing nerd. So I tested a strategy around holiday time. And what I ended up doing was just like sending some goodies over to wedding venues. I sent special notes and cards to planners, photographers, florists, bridal shops. And since I was just servicing Charleston at that time, I was like, let's just test this out and see how this works. So
What did
I
you
was just
send and what did you write in the card?
so if it's just like cards, like if it was like Christmas time, I would just say happy holidays. I'm Jasmine. I own a bridal hair and makeup business. And I just wanted to wish you and your team like a great time. And I
Cute.
would send like a little brochure with like prices. I don't recommend having materials with prices in it because your prices can always change. And you're like, oh, well, I can't do this
Yeah.
anymore. So I would send like cards, brochures, and I would just send these to different locations. I also, for like Valentine's Day, it was a baker and a photographer, and we were just like walking downtown one day. One person made treats, another person had some cards. I had some lollipops and some brochures, and we just met and we just like put all of our stuff in goodie bags and contributed something. And we just gave little gift baskets for Valentine's Day. I am really big on doing
That's
things
such a
that
cute
are
idea.
yeah, because think about it, like, who is doing that? Nobody.
And it totally
And
brightens up someone's day.
it does. And doing that is actually how we ended up getting on a ton of wedding venues referral lists, even though we had never met them ever before in our lives, as well as planners and photographers just referring us to their clients. And it was all because of that holiday strategy. And that is the main reason why we ended up moving. I was like, I'm just going to test this out. And the following year that I actually did that, I had received like 16 brides who said, "Hey, this specific venue recommended you for our wedding." And I was in Charleston, and that specific venue was in Raleigh, North Carolina. That would be a 5-hour drive. So it just made sense for me to move like right in the middle so that my drive time in either direction would be the exact same. So that is what led to me moving because I just started networking way ahead of time. And then when I actually ended up moving, I was like, okay, well, let's double down on this because it worked. So let's go ahead and build more people around my business that can refer us so that marketing is 10 times easier.
Planning in advance is so important. So I made that mistake when I
Yeah.
moved. I didn't plan in advance. I moved from Toronto to Ottawa, which is about 4 hours away. And I was going back and forth because my move was so last minute. I still had brides in Toronto and I was pregnant at the time. So
Oh my God.
I was going back and forth pretty much every single weekend. Then I had baby. And then I was just like, okay, well, it's really hard to build up a bridal business last minute. It's so personal. It's so referral based. So I started with lashes, but had I taken the time to network and make connections before I did the move and worked more proactively rather than reactively, I think everything would have started rolling so much faster. But I love that idea of like just doing something cute for the holidays. Like Valentine's Day is around the corner. This episode's going to be
Oh
up
yeah.
before that. So the simplest thing that you can do is grab a bunch of flower bouquets from Costco, from the grocery store. Get your label makers. I know you makeup artists have label makers. Put like your little Instagram tag onto each tag or something like that, and just put Happy Valentine's Day from your Instagram handle. Drop off a bouquet like at your gym, wherever your ideal client is hanging out, at the bridal boutique stores,
Oh
anywhere
yeah.
that's going to have a lot of traffic in those kind of weeks. even, well, I couldn't say a flower shop because that would be where you can't drop off flowers at a flower shop. But I
Cocktail
could,
flowers for the florist. They're like,
bakeries, right? Bakeries would probably be a really great idea as well.
yeah.
Just have a note saying like take one, and I think that's a cute idea as well. It's
Oh
good. That's
yeah.
a good one, girl.
Thank you. Thank you. When I tell my clients that, they're like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. And I'm like, oh, put this into your yearly marketing plan. And it literally changes the game. And since you do it around the holiday time, you just have consistent leads like rolling in throughout the year. So they love it.
And then it makes people feel so good. When someone hands you a
Right.
random flower or a cookie or something, you're just like, oh, thank you. This
Right.
is for me.
Oh yeah.
I think this is a perfect transition into our topic for today, which is finding your niche. So let's say we're going to be dropping off flowers. Are we dropping them off at the gas station, at the gym, at the barbershop? Like, where do we drop off these flowers? And like, how do we know we're going to find our client there?
Yes. Okay, so this is where it kind of gets, I don't want to say it gets tough, but this is where we get down to the nitty gritty. So personally for me, my Bridal Beauty business needs service an array of, nationalities, skin tones, but most of our clients, they don't wear makeup. And they always say, I just want to look like myself, but, 2.0. So that lets me know that they're probably not going to be in a place where somebody's going to be buying high luxury skincare products. They might go to the yoga studio, they might do Pilates, they might be a teacher, they might be a nurse. So for me, a lot of my clients, they have the same exact job title. I work with lawyers, attorneys, registered nurses, girl bosses, and I work with teachers, nurses. I feel like I said one of those already. But those are the main types of clients that I work with. And for me, I know, okay, if I want to, I can do some cute little, complimentary makeup sessions for teachers because I know one of those teachers are probably going to get married. So let me go to the elementary school, the middle school, the high school. Let me go drop this off at the front desk and just let the teachers know, hey, this is from my business. They can take one. There's some little sessions in there. It might be 50% off or whatever, just so that they can like get their hair and makeup done. And what ended up happening was I actually did that. I dropped off some cute little goodies. It was just a little individual gift basket. It was like a clear like wrap and then a little lollipop, chocolate in it, some cards. And it had a 20% off of a hair and makeup session. And I had some teachers use that for engagement sessions because they're like, oh, it's a bridal hair and makeup company. Oh, we know so and so teacher down the hall. She just got engaged. Let's go and give her this, right? So that's how we ended up getting some bookings from this being intentional about where would our actual client be.
Why do we need one? And then how do we figure out like who that person is?
So you definitely need one because this helps verbiage, marketing, setting up your website. It makes everything more streamlined. So for example, going back to my natural glam bride who just wants to look like herself, since I know specifically who I'm talking to, whenever I be on Instagram or social media, I can create post topics that say something like, hey, have you ever gotten your makeup done and you felt like you were talking to a brick wall because the look was nothing like what you actually stated? This is how we can help you create a look that's customizable to your authentic self. So even if somebody who hasn't really done their makeup a lot, but they might have gotten their makeup done in the past, and it was completely out of their comfort zone, they can relate to our post. So our post is specifically talking to one person, not how cute does Sally look? Now booking. That has nothing to
Yeah.
do with speaking to your client. And I love to teach my clients to get very specific in your verbiage because you can utilize that in your website. So the same thing, if I want to attract natural glam, I'm going to have verbiage so that a bride can see my website and say, oh my gosh, I feel like she's talking directly to me. I feel like they know exactly what I need, what I want, and how they can help me. You can do the same exact thing with your emails, right? Whenever you're sending emails, other than saying congrats on your engagement, you can talk a little bit more about how your specialty of natural glam or your retro vintage or your whimsical boho or your free spirited fun, tackled, fun bride, right? You now have a consistent process to attract somebody, get them to your inquiry phase, and actually book them in a consistent way so that your brand is just more cohesive. And a way that we can kind of figure out who your dream client is, I always say go back to what really lights you up. If
Yeah.
you
What sets your
know,
soul on fire when you're doing
yeah,
that look? Like, what makes you want to be like, I can do this forever, even if I wasn't getting paid, I would
yeah.
still want to do this.
Absolutely. So if you know that you love doing like the bold Kim K transformation, bold glam, run with that. If you know that you love doing the more classic, modern, timeless look, run with that. If you know that your vibe is more of the grunge, maybe vintage, retro bride, run with that. But when you know, okay, this is definitely my lane, I feel like sometimes we feel if we show up and we only talk about one specific client that we're disqualifying ourselves for other people to want to work with us. But what ends up happening is that even though I'm specifically talking to the natural glam bride, they other people go, hey, I see that you do natural glam, but I really love, everything else that you're doing. I really want a more bold look. Is this something that you can
Yeah.
do? Here's my inspo pick for reference, right? So even though you have created your own lane, which can have you charge a premium because now you're known for a specific thing, other people are automatically going to be gravitated to your overall brand because they're like, this person has an overall brand and a whole experience. And
Yeah.
I see that they're a little bit more cohesive versus, you know, now booking 22 brides, in your content, right? And they really want to pay for quality service from a quality artist who is showing up differently than everybody else.
And when I moved, I made the mistake of reducing my prices from what I was in Toronto and trying to take anyone I could just because I wanted to get clients through the door. And the clients
Mhm.
that I were getting, I was just like, everyone wanted more natural. It was just not my vibe. It wasn't fulfilling me. The clients didn't even like me. Like, I remember I gave away a
I
bridal tryout
know.
and I gave away a makeup application for a wedding one time. So I'm like, let me
Yeah.
just get my foot through the door. And then I got the girl in and I did her makeup. She was unhappy. I was unhappy. And I'm like, it literally looked like I should have been paying her to be sitting in my seat. And since then, all my verbiage, I'm like, no, like I love transformations. I love the Instagram, Kim K, flawless glam, cake it on, blend it in, but make it look like amazing. Like that is like as I
Yeah.
talk about it, you can tell that it lights me up. Like that's my jam. So all of my website, all of my emails, all of my verbiage is now all flawless glam. Looking for that flawless finish? Are you looking for that sculpted, crafted look? Because that's all I'm
And
about. I increase my pricing. Anything that I post on Instagram is like, look at this transformation. Look at this before and after. Like, look at this sculpting. And now the clients that I get do not question my pricing, even though it's triple what it was a couple years ago. And it's still going up all the time.
oh
And
yeah.
I love talking to them. I love being around them. I love being in their presence. I love being in their home. I feel like they love being around me. We click like we're besties. Like it is
Yes.
completely different when you're talking to somebody that you actually want to be talking to and you're doing work that you love doing.
Absolutely. And something that I just want to like add into that. So when I was super new in, doing hair and makeup before I really figured out, who I specifically wanted to attract, I was basically trying to attract anybody with a face, anybody
Yes.
with a face, anybody with hair. And I just realized that people did not see my value. I was probably charging like $45 for makeup at the time, but now I charge 175 for makeup if somebody books me versus my team. So when you are marketing a $45 makeup service, it takes the same amount of effort to market yourself at 175. And the only thing that's really going to be different from who you attract, if it's a discount Betty or if it's somebody who is like, send me the invoice now,
Yeah.
it's basically how you are helping them qualify themselves if they are your dream client or not. So somebody who's a discount Betty, they're just going to say, okay, who's the cheapest? Somebody who's like sending me the invoice now, they're like, who's going to give me the best bang for my buck? And who's going to do it the way that I want them done without giving me something wonky on my lip from, an improper sanitation, right? They want to pay for that experience. So you attract a different client at each part of how you're marketing yourself online.
And I think this is a little bit different. Like when you're first getting your foot in the door, you have to work on different bases. You have to do different looks. Like you're still
Absolutely.
trying to figure out, like, get the experience, figure out what you love to do, figure out who
Yeah.
you like to connect with. But once you have like a year, a couple years, when you feel like you have your foot in the game and you're like, okay, I got my look down. I know what I want to do. I know the people that I like. That's when you start transitioning into doing this and really creating a business rather than a hobby
Yeah.
anymore.
Oh yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Do you find different niches have different rates? And so as we're saying niche, we're pretty much flipping ideal client and niche. Is it almost the same thing? Like, do you use it the same way?
So I don't know for a lot of bridal like and hair and makeup artists, they have no idea what niche means. So I just like to use ideal client because they relate more to that. But your niche is basically your ideal client. It's who specifically do you want to attract, that soul, that whimsical, that natural glam. What word would best describe your signature style so that you can attract more people that fit your signature style? But when it comes to different niches have different price points, in my opinion, I say no. And the reason why is because say I do both ways, and say on the other side I do soft rail. So what I see that I personally would say might be making you work a little bit harder is some people have different rates for soft blade and bold blade. If I'm doing anything on your face, it's going to be the exact same price. I don't care if I'm wiping some concealer under your eye and putting on lashes. I'm still going to charge you the full price because specifically for me, I don't do eyes only or face only. I am charging you for makeup. Regardless of if I do your brows, your concealer, your mascara, I'm charging you the same price. And for me, it makes sense based upon how I do my numbers at the end of the year. I know in order for me to hit my yearly income goal, I have to take this number of clients, this number of brides. So I'm strategic in how I price myself and how I book myself so that I'm not causing myself to do more work than what I really want to do so that each client is constantly helping me hit my overall end year goal. But that's just how I like to do it. But I always feel like you can do whatever you want to do, but I just to kind of operate in one way just so that it makes more sense for my time and my energy.
And you guys need to follow Jasmine to figure out like how to figure out what your end goal is, how to price your services. I feel like we could literally talk for hours about building a bridal team, setting up processes so that you're not constantly working in your business. And she preaches about this all the time. And it's such important part of concepts. But like our episode would literally go on for hours if we got into all of that today. But maybe
Oh
on
yeah.
another day we'll bring you back. We'll get into that a little bit more. In the meantime, you could also go to Beauty and the Network on Instagram, and she has tons of reels, tons of free information, tons of courses that can get you deeper into this.
When you really kind of hone in on who you specifically want to service, like I said, your marketing posting becomes easier, creating like emails to even like book and nurture your client and creating systems. It all gets 10 times easier once you're clear on who you want to serve. So definitely, if you don't already have an ideal client in your mind right now, start to just ask yourself, like, who do I really vibe with? Who do I want to attract more of? Who's not going to drain my energy? And how can I show up more as myself so that I can attract, a reflection of, different parts of your personality with your dream clients?
Yeah. And if you guys are really listening to this episode and you're still struggling to figure out who your ideal client is, reach out to either one of us. We'll be more than happy to go through the process with you, ask you some
Yeah.
questions, kind of get your brain flowing a little bit more because when you figure this out, everything changes and like you're growing a business that you wanted to grow years before.
Absolutely.
All right, speed round. A couple of quick questions for you. What is your favorite course or training that you've ever taken?
Ooh, okay. So this has nothing to do with beauty, but this has everything to do with Pinterest. So Pinterest course, and that's what we utilize over on our blog. So
The
I
Pinterest
love
lab?
that. Yes, yes. I was like, I don't know what it's called, the Pinterest one.
Jenna's amazing. She's so good. Gold digger.
Yes. Oh yeah.
So you loved that course. So it was absolutely everything. Hubby keeps telling me to get into Pinterest. And I'm like, I don't have time. I feel like I'm already doing so
Yeah.
much. And hubby's like, no, like we need to get on Pinterest. Like eventually. But
Yeah. Well, however to utilize it, so I like to utilize like my blog with Pinterest. Also, any image that I have on my website, it directly goes back to Pinterest. So if somebody clicks on any of my images on Pinterest, it'll take them right to my website. So definitely get my girl, definitely.
oh, okay. Another course added to I'm such a course junkie. It's disgusting. I'm
Same.
so bad with online courses, like finishing them, but I have so many going right now. What is your favorite beauty product at the moment?
I'm a tomboy at heart. but I really love the Derma E. I think it's the vitamin C hydro gel, like under eye patches. I did some last night, so I love like all of my gel patches.
Ooh. Do you use
Right.
those on your brides as well?
I don't. I don't have some of myself. I really want to get like some goodies that I can actually like mail out to my bride before the actual wedding day so that they can do their skincare routine and use the gel
Yes.
patches before I arrive. But yeah, that is something that's on my list, but I need to
Maybe we
find
can work
one.
together on that because I think it's so important for brides to exfoliate before the wedding day. Like this is key, number one. And I hate sending them to Shoppers Drug Mart or Sephora to pick up something. So I want to get in touch with a company that could just like either find a way for us to just purchase little mini samples that we can
Mhm.
send out to our brides like a month before the event and be like, hey, this is your skin routine. And then a moisturizer for sensitive skin as well. Because a lot of brides, they
Mm,
come
yeah,
in and they don't have the greatest skincare. Some of them do, and their skin is like butter, and I like love them for it. But a
right?
lot of time there's like congestion, flakiness, dry skin, and their
Oh,
skin
yeah.
is just angry and just little simple things. Like I wish I could just give it to them or find a way to market with like to work with another skincare company to like just get little individual sizes because putting a box together ahead of time is going to be amazing because it's going to help us, but then they're going to be
Absolutely.
surprised as well. But somebody do
Definitely.
this. Somebody create this, send us the
Right?
links. We will buy them. Exfoliator,
Absolutely.
sensitive skin moisturizer, please.
Yeah.
What's something that you do now that's really helped your business that you wish you would have started or implemented years ago?
Yes. So a self-care day. So my Wednesdays are my midweek Wednesday, which is a day that I have open to kind of finish anything that I haven't already done earlier that week. And I really double down on my self-care. So how this has definitely helped my business is I now get to give myself any kind of TLC before I get burnt out versus getting burnt out and then trying to recoup. I last year did not burn out one time and I used to call myself burnout queen. So I honestly feel like if you are always protecting your energy, giving yourself what you need, taking a bubble bath in the middle of the day if you want to, you are going to have so much more energy to show up in your business, do the things that you want, work it how you want, show up how you want, versus running on E by leaving yourself last versus putting everybody else before you. So definitely a self-care day in the middle of my week has been a massive game changer for my energy and my profitability as well.
That's such a good idea. I'm definitely on the burnout side of things where like I'll work really hard for a good couple of months and then I need a week off to do nothing with my life, which is not productive and it doesn't work. So I told myself I'm giving myself 1 day a month to do like all my beauty treatments and things like that, thinking like 1 day a month should be good. But I like the
Yeah.
idea of 1 day a week. This sounds so much better. Because
Mhm.
like, what do you do on a self-care Wednesday?
Yeah, so for Wednesday, that is it for my slow start. So for me, I hated organization structure, but now each of my work days have like a theme. So I have like my marketing day, my, client task, admin day. And then for my Wednesdays, I will just like wake up, I'll have my tea, I'll have my water, I'll do my yoga, my stretching, my meditation, I'll walk, listen to a podcast. And then I just kind of look and see, okay, I didn't do all of my tasks for Monday. Let me set a timer, 30 minutes. Let me get that done. I didn't do my marketing for, the day before. Let me just set a 30-minute timer and get that done. And I see versus stacking my day from this is at 9 o'clock, 9:30, 10, 10:30. Having a flow in my day has helped me so much than trying to pack every single minute of the hour, brim to brim. It's helped me so much more just work a little bit more efficiently and effectively for the way that I operate. Because personally, I get really overwhelmed. So I have to set up my workday to make sense for when I have the most energy, how I have the most energy, and how I want to feel throughout the day.
So it's kind of like a catch-up day as well. Is there certain things that
Yeah.
you do for yourself? Like, do you book massages or is it just simple things at home, like for having a bubble bath?
Yeah, either or. So I might have like a massage book that day. I might do a massage on myself that day. I might do my nails, I might do my brows, do my skincare. So it's just kind of like whatever I'm feeling it that day. Sometimes I was like, ooh, on Wednesday, I'm gonna do my nails, I'm gonna do my skincare. But I find that when I have it just kind of like open, I'm like, ooh, I wasn't thinking about going to the gym, but I want to go to the gym. Or I
Aw.
wasn't thinking about getting my hair done, but let me see if there's open availability at the at the salon and get my hair done. So I just kind of let it be open and I just kind of let myself just kind of flow and do whatever floats my boat
It's
versus
like a
trying to
go
like,
with
this
the
is
flow
what I'm
kind
going
of
to do.
day.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I think it's so lots of my structure. And I'm like, okay, let's just have a little bit of wiggle room.
Yeah, I try to do calendar blocking and like I like the idea of it. I like how it looks, but I don't follow it. I legit just ignore it. And then I went into doing different tasks on different days, and that's been the best thing, like batch working for the day rather
uh,
than each individual block of things. It's just like one day I'm doing this, one day I'm
oh,
doing my
yeah.
wheels, one day I'm going to do my editing and any graphics that need to be made. And it just flows so much better. But now one of those things have to
Uh,
go because I need a self care Wednesday.
girl,
What is the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
oh, a best piece of advice that I've ever been given is don't compare your step 10 to somebody else's step 100
Yes.
because in social media, in the world in general, it's so easy to get lost in other people's highlight reels and other people's success. Oh my gosh, I just hit this in my business. But if you don't know that they struggled for 3 months in order to achieve that, and you're like,
Or three
dang, I'm
years.
behind, right? It's like, dang, I want to do that, but you don't even know what it took for them to actually, obtain that success. Or you don't even know that they've been working 5 years and you decided to go into business 5 days ago, right?
Yeah.
So I always just like to tell myself because I used to get very deep into achievement seeking. It was like my only way to personally validate, like, okay, Jasmine, you're doing good only if you do this, only if you accomplish that. So I would always try and push myself to do more versus accepting where I was in that current level of growth that I am. So that is definitely like a huge piece of advice.
Yeah, tying your self-worth to, like, achievements and body image, it's such a tricky
Oh
situation,
yeah.
right? It requires a lot of work to undo. It's always a little bit deeper. But
Oh
what I
yeah.
like doing about tracking, like, the little achievements, so before I would always have, like, my big goal, like, I want, let's say, 250,000 users or something like that. Like, that's a big picture goal, but breaking it down into tiny goals. Like, this
Yep.
month, I want 50 paid users. This month, I want 100 listeners. And as soon as I hit that little goal, I date it because I always had this on sticky walls. I think Jasmine Star calls the champagne goals, right? So I keep them on
Ah,
sticky walls. I keep them on sticky notes. They're on my wall. Once I hit that champagne goal, I put a date underneath it and I move it to celebrate. And then at the end of the year, I can see all of these things that I've accomplished. And it's not like, oh, well, I didn't hit my big picture goal, which is a 5 year, 10-year goal. But you
mhm.
still see, oh, like once upon a time, I was wishing for 20 users and now we're at 500 users. That's huge,
Yeah,
right?
I'm gonna have to check that out. I
Yeah,
like
I'll send you a picture of it.
that.
It's my favorite wall. It's in my
Yes.
bedroom. It's falling apart, but it's okay. Last question is what do you want to be remembered for?
I really want to be remembered for just being genuine, being transparent, and just inspiring people to do the things that they are terribly afraid of doing. Um, I would always, when I was little, I would always go on YouTube and I would just type in like girl boss vlog. And I would look at all of the girl bosses just building their businesses. And when I saw their business evolving after I've been watching them for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to do that too. And I just loved how they encouraged people, they inspired people, and how they just kind of took people along with them on the journey. So it's like, oh, she's building, I'm building too. We're building it together. So I really just love being a small part of somebody else's process and just being their cheerleader to let them know you don't need anybody to validate you. Validate yourself. You got it, girl, or you got it. Like, let's do it. Like that's what I want to do before.
And different people inspire different people. So, like what you
Oh
just
yeah.
said is something that everyone should be sharing. Share
Mm.
your journey. You might think it's small. You might think it's nothing that other people want to see, but people want to see it. I was literally just telling Lash Base, this company that just got their first warehouse in the United States. They have their lash extension company. They do lash supplies. They have been sharing their process like every step of the way through the pandemic, looking for a space, having to wait it out, getting shut down, things not working, things breaking. And like now finally they're set up in their warehouse. And I'm like, this is amazing. I love seeing this. And Jamie responded back saying, thank you for telling me that because I thought I'm boring people. And I'm like, no, like I've been following you for years. What you're showing, we love coming along for the ride. We love seeing behind the scenes, and none of this is boring. And just seeing how the company works and how they grow. Like you start to feel like you're a part of that journey. and you start cheering for people that you barely even know. So
Right?
I think it's really easy for
Absolutely.
every business to just put out there and show the behind the scenes. If you're struggling, to show up in like stories and on Instagram, just record little bits of your day and just put it out there, because you might think it's boring, but other people will be like, oh, like that's what goes on there.
Mhm. Oh, yeah. So then that way, whenever they're in their process, it's not like, oh, well, they just blew up overnight and I'm not blowing up. What's wrong with me? And it's like, oh, well, I remember when so and so said that they did their first launch and it was a flop. So, I mean, this is just a part of the journey versus viewing, oh, I'm doing something wrong. It's all a part of the big picture.
And every flop is a learning experience. Like, I think that's the one thing we have to remember being in a business. Not everything you do is going to be successful. Like, you
Oh,
might put up a
yeah.
launch and get crickets, and that's okay. Then you go back,
Trial and error
you
period.
retrack, do it again, change the title, do it again. Not a big deal, right? You have to be okay with
Yeah,
things flopping and not look at it as a failure. Just like, oh, well, let's try something differently. That's really all there is to it. But that's the fun of it.
absolutely.
I literally think entrepreneurship is like a video game. You just go through the levels, you found down the hole, you try it again another way until you catch the flag, and then off to the next level.
Right? Absolutely. That's definitely how it is. And that's a fun way to kind of look at it too. Once you hit that next level, it's like, okay, we just accomplished that level. Okay, now what's next?
Watch out
Okay,
for
now
Koopa
we
Shell over there.
right. Right. Let's go and get it. Let's see, what the test is on this level and how we can accomplish it. So then that way, when we get to level 10, we got it, So
Yeah.
absolutely, I love that.
Thank you for being on. Where can everyone find you? I'll definitely link all of your contact information, your Instagram, your website, everything in the show notes. So it's really easy. But if there's anything that you want to share,
Yeah, so you can follow me over on Instagram at Beauty and the Network. Over in the link in my bio on my Instagram, you can find my website where you can see all of the goodies that I have available. And if you want to work with me, how you can do so. And you can also listen to my podcast. It's called the Beauty and the Network podcast. I always like to give, like, if you're a mama and you have little ones, you might want to wear your headphones because sometimes my potty mouth, depending on the topic, so, I mean, I gave a lot of good information. I'll keep you entertained, but I also love to drop a lot of knowledge. So you can find me at all of those places.